But this man goes back to Chechnya, sucks off a dictator, sucks him off. He was collected on. And then he goes and sells a Bitcoin scam. Chimaev can fight, but sir, you are not a fucking man. The world knows you as not a man. You will never be a fucking man, you little Chechen whore.
Alright, so Sean Strickland has heavily escalated his ongoing beef with Khamzat Chimaev during his UFC 312 press conference, and throughout this video, I will walk you through how this feud started and how we got to this point. And even though this guy Sean is literally fighting Dricus Duplessis this weekend, he brought the fire and brimstone when talking about Khamzat Chimaev in a way that felt extremely personal.
You know, he goes back to Chechnya because somebody wants to buy him a G-Wagon, and he's like, oh, hey, I'll be that whore. I'll do it. I'll fucking bend the knee for you, man. I like fucking G-Wagons. I think the U.S. government kind of recommends, looks at him like a terrorist now. So now Chimaev's scared as shit. Like, oh, man, dude, I wanted to be a whore, but I didn't want to go full tip. You, sir, are a whore. Doesn't matter how good of a fighter you are. You are and will always be a fucking whore.
And of course, Strickland is known far and wide for his propensity to say whatever's on his mind with absolutely no filter, seeing as he's done it with Israel Adesanya and DDP in the past. But there's something about the way that he speaks about Khamzat in these clips that really gives me the feeling that he has a deep hatred and disdain for the guy. And then there's this MMA Junkie interview where he does it again, meaning that Sean has done 3 media events this week where he slanders Khamzat.
Chimaev or Israel if he wins this weekend?
The Khamzat, dude, the Chechen fucking whore, bro.
You want that?
Anybody who fights that guy's gonna get a fucking paycheck, dude. The fucking Chechen whore.
And in response to these clips going viral, Chimaev has tweeted this photo of Sean where he asks why Sean always seems to be crying and wonders if Sean's dad didn't love him enough or if he loved him too much. Anyways, there is very clearly no love lost between these two, and for those of you guys who want the full timeline of events that have led to these two seemingly despising each other, then don't worry because I got the full receipts here. Let's wind the clocks back to March of 2022 when Sean and Khamzat were actually training partners with one another. Yes, at one point in time, these guys were training side by side with one another and were sparring on a regular basis. Check out this interview with the Schmo where Strickland lets the world know that Khamzat submitted him repeatedly.
What would you learn from yourself going up against that guy? The Schmo saw you two going at it. You were paired together during the grappling and obviously the striking.
I don't know. What'd you think?
Well, I thought he was good competition.
Yeah, what did you think, though?
Well, I thought you both learned from each other.
What did you think, though, watching?
Well, I think you held your own standing, but on the ground, he does what he does.
Did he fuck me up on the ground? I want your honest opinion. Tell me.
He made you tap a couple of times. The Schmo saw it, but do you want the world to know this stuff or what?
You could tell the world. Listen, guys, jiu-jitsu, I do the fucking man game, the fucking man dance.
Okay, so some key takeaways from this video. 1, back in 2022, he definitely seems to be speaking about Khamzat with way more respect than he does in 2025. 2, he's very open with the fact that he got submitted multiple times during their most recent sparring session. And 3, Sean, as always, brags about how he's all about doing the man dance, even though this guy throws 420 jabs and 69 teeps in every single one of his fights. Then, a couple of months later, in August 2022, a clip surfaced of Sean urging Khamzat to tone it down and be nice while training.
No, he gets a little bit. He gets a little bit. He gets a little bit. A little bit, yeah. Be nice. Comes up. Understand, you're better than everybody. So just don't hurt people.
So yeah, obviously nothing wrong with telling one of your training partners to stop being a bit of a gym bully, but the thing that I really want to emphasize from this clip is that Strickland tells Khamzat that he's better than everybody. Now, by everybody, does that also include Sean, or is this simply just him being humble and trying to find a way to get Chimaev to fall in line with the gym's culture? But at face value, it does seem like Khamzat might have been the top dog at Extreme Couture while he was training there. But why does this matter? Who cares about who was winning in sparring? Fighters say all the time that sparring is just an opportunity to improve your skills and try new things, and that sparring should be at a responsible intensity to keep everyone safe and healthy. Well, it matters because this is actually the source of the beef between Strickland and Chimaev. Because fast forward to over a year later to October 18th, 2023. This was 1 month after Strickland shocked the world, myself included, and dominated Israel Adesanya to win the middleweight title. In the lead up to his fight with Kamaru Usman, Chimaev had this to say about Strickland being champion.
You know, I mean, I've taken him down, I've held him down, I've choked him, I've punched him. I mean, I've done all those things, so I don't see anything, you know, something special about him. Basically, he's a fighter's fighter. He's a good fighter. You know, if you look at him, he's like a, you know, an American cowboy, like from the movies. That's the kind of guy he is. But, you know, we've done our work in the gym together, and if they offer him to me, if I can fight him for the belt, that's what I'll do. You know, I make the money, get the belt. I have nothing against him. I think that if you compare us, on the skill levels wise, I'm levels above him. I'm in a whole different stratosphere from him. So, he's not a threat to me. But, he's a good guy. He's a good fighter. And if I can, I'd fight anybody. I'd ready to fight anyone. So if there's a belt there, I'll fight him, no problem.
Khamzat airing out the gym intel. So obviously I am not a pro fighter, but something that pro fighters and coaches often say is that what happens in the gym stays in the gym. I remember when Daniel Cormier fought Patrick Cummins, DC walked into that fight week extremely pissed at Cummins for airing out to the world that he supposedly made DC cry when they trained together. And look, it seems pretty reasonable that airing out what happens in the training room is pretty bad etiquette for a lot of different reasons. At the end of the day, training is training, and to act like what happens in the gym will be exactly what happens in real competition is a little foolish. But in the case of DC and Cummins, the reason why Cormier was crying in the training room during those days wasn't because Cummins broke him like how Patrick claims. It's because DC's firstborn child had recently died in a tragic car accident. So to bring this back to Sean's beef with Khamzat, it can be seen as a little bit of poor form on Khamzat's part to make a former training partner look bad. These guys trained together every single day for months on end, helped each other improve and become better fighters, and probably developed some level of camaraderie with one another throughout the time that they spent as training partners. Now, you might be saying that Sean already told the world that he was repeatedly submitted by Khamzat during a sparring session, so what's the big deal with Khamzat confirming that he would beat Strickland in sparring? And honestly, I see where you're coming from, and to be fair, I can even see Chimaev thinking that he had the green light to talk about what happened during their sparring rounds because Sean already told the world that he got submitted multiple times by Khamzat. But just to play devil's advocate a little bit, I will say that Sean revealing the result of one singular sparring session is a bit different than Khamzat saying that he consistently beat up Sean in sparring over the course of however many months. Anyways, check out what Strickland had to say about Khamzat's comments.
He was asked about you, and he said that while he respected you, he thought you were a fighter's fighter, likened you to an American cowboy. He said that he wasn't all that impressed with you. He said that he's taken you down, he's hit you.
Let me tell you about Chimaev, guys. This is a f***ing true story. And, since we're going to talk about training, one day I made fun of a Chechnyan, and he misunderstood what I said. And it was more of like a compliment to the fighter, and he sent me a message talking shit. And I said, Chimaev, you misunderstood, but I will see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock, gloves or no gloves, turn up. And then guess what? No show, no answer. We talked it out. He said, no, it's okay. We talk about it. Here's the thing about Chimaev. The man could f***ing fight. The man could fight. We all know that. He beat Usman to a decision. Usman old, retired, but whatever. He still did it. But me and him are f***ing different. Chimaev could be right here. I will fight that man to the death right here, knowing I'm going to die.
Right off the bat, I want to point out that the way that Sean said seeing as we're talking about training kind of gives me the feeling that he took offense to Khamzat talking about what happened in the gym while they were training partners. Next, there definitely seems to be a lot more of an edge to Sean's attitude here, and he for sure sounds much more serious talking about Khamzat in this clip than when he did when they were training together. And of course, he says that he's willing to fight to the death against Khamzat, but he says this about every single fighter that he's ever been matched up with, only to break out his iCarly fighting stance. All that aside, at least in my opinion, it really does seem like Khamzat really rubbed Strickland the wrong way by airing out all the sparring stuff. Then 1 week later, on October 29th, 2023, Sean's coach Eric Nixick appeared on Submission Radio and gave his thoughts on Khamzat's statement.
I don't know what they saw in the gym, but that's not the case by any means. I won't speak about our training sessions. What happens inside our gym stays within our gym, but there was no one side or the other that was just getting blown out of the water. That's not, it was quite the opposite if you ask me, but it was very competitive, and Khamzat trains hard, man. He goes hard, he trains hard, and I think he made everybody in the room better. But by no means did I think that there was like, we're at a disadvantage by any means at all.
So again, I want to point out that Coach Eric here outright says that what happens inside our gym stays inside our gym, and I kind of get the feeling that might be his way of saying that Khamzat shouldn't have said what he said, especially seeing as he was a guest while training at Extreme Couture. And of course, a coach is always going to back up their athlete, even if it means saying something dishonest, but I do think the fact that Sean has never objected to Khamzat's claims that he beat him up in sparring says a whole lot about what the reality of the situation looked like. Then a couple of months later, in January of 2024, Khamzat doubled down on his side of the story.
Ask that guy who was beating him up every day in the gym, man. How many times I saw meet that guy? How many times I beat him up? He went to his coach, man. He went to his coach, please tell the guy, man, go easy, go easy. And the guy going with this different, he said, like, I went crazy with the guys who was going 166 or this, man. He's lying, man. When I punch you hard, you went to your coach and said, please tell the guy, go easy, easy. No, off, man. What are you talking about?
Then a couple months after that, in July of 2024, Khamzat tripled down.
Он сперва сказал, что на спарринге меня побил. Ну, там ребята были, все видели. И даже видео там есть, как я его душил и бил. И с ним тоже есть такое дело. Выйти в клетку и посмотреть, кто сильнее в клетке.
Man, this dude Khamzat does not give a fuck. If he beats you up in sparring, he is gonna go on a media world tour about it and make sure that everyone knows that he beat you up in the gym. You know, it's funny. On one hand, although I do think it's a little bit unprofessional for Chimaev to be saying all of this in front of cameras about a former training partner, on the other hand, I do respect his mentality of there's no friends in the game of MMA. He's climbed to the very top of the sport and has defeated former champions by going to the beat of his own drum, so what's the harm in burning some bridges if his current system is working as well as it is? Sure, he alienated a former training partner and a coach, but there's a very high likelihood that he's going to be standing across the octagon from them someday soon, possibly even for a title fight. So if I was putting myself in Khamzat's shoes, then why do I care about hurting some guy's feelings when I'm going to have to be fighting him in the UFC before long? Regardless, this then started a bit of a tweet war back and forth that's lasted all the way up until the present day. Sean has called out Khamzat's loyalty to Kadyrov on Twitter, and Khamzat's had his own set of replies. I'm not going to go into detail about all the tweets that have been sent back and forth, but just know that these guys have been bickering at each other via Twitter for months on end. So yeah, that's the beef between Sean Strickland and Khamzat Chimaev explained in a nutshell. If you want my completely objective opinion on this topic, then I agree that Chimaev airing out the sparring results not once, not twice, but 3 times is a bit uncool, seeing as the whole concept of what happens in the gym stays in the gym is a practice in all combat sports, not just MMA. But at the same time, Sean is very clearly a bit of a sensitive guy and has only escalated the tensions between them with his responses. There's probably a lot of fighters out there that would have just turned the other cheek, but obviously when it comes to Strickland, this guy doesn't have the ability to take the high road. And seeing as both guys keep on trading insults back and forth, we've reached the point where these guys genuinely hate each other. That said, I'm not complaining though. It's only going to make the build-up to their inevitable UFC fight so much more interesting. Like, can you guys imagine the pre-fight press conference for when these guys finally get paired up to fight? It's gonna be amazing. Anyways, that's the video for today. Definitely let me know what you think about the feud between Strickland and Chimaev. Do you think it was wrong for Khamzat to do what he did, or do you think that this is just a case of there's no friends in the industry? As always, if you like the video, then like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.